How are we going, team? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz, and I am recovered. We'll talk about this in a second. We've got a person here waiting for the first comment. Hope everyone's having a good day. I've just bounced back from what was an ocular headache. Curtis, good to have you here, mate. And Dave D. I need to get back to you about the break-in. Paul, you were speaking to me. It got past me. So one of our moderators has been broken into. As soon as he got the yes, okay to become a military officer, they saw that he was the weak link and attacked. Proud Aussie, good to have you here. Leo is always here and is part of our team. Dave Stewart, are you related to Mount Stewart in Townsville? We've got Andrew W. here. We've got lovely Lauren here. I've been giving her space the last week while she is on her adventure across the countryside. Go the Lauren brothers. We've got Spartan Mouth. Jesus, I'd expect that to be a fairly harsh language right there. Stoic individual. Grid. Hi. Joshua, good to get back to Mr. Buckaroony. We've been fairly active on the bat phone, to all those getting ready to diddy mow out of the village and go to Kapuka next week. J Lad, not J Bad, which would be ground-based air defence. Good to have you here. Midway, halfway. We're going to talk about halfway in a sec. Dave D, g'day team. Our moderators are representing. Bailey with milk. Good evening, Mr. Kaz and team. Good to have you here. Jacob Romano. Now that sounds like a man that could sing. Maybe make an awesome bruschetta as well. Sad for Mr. Romano, what's happening in Italy at the moment with of what's happening with the Mexican flavoured beer over there. 6-3 Yankee JP, good to have you here, my man. Judy First, Fugly is here, not to correct my spelling this time. The sign of narcissism. He expects no less. Donald J. Trump, good to have you here. Well done on your trip to India. It's great to have you here, mate, and I really hope you get in this year, November the 3rd. Put that in your diary. You won't need to because Kaz will be live for 4 days straight. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's got a ranger. Proud Aussie, coronavirus is getting worse and worse. And we're going to be speaking about a lot of that today. Today is what say you? I've got some statistics here. I've got a way of looking at things here. We're about to have a conversation, and if this is your first time here, guys and gals, from across the globe, I am Kaz, the Australian YouTuber, ex-military, if there's a such thing, and this is the Forever Channel. Take your time, come here when you can. Love to have you. If you need more, okay, follow us through the link in to Patreon, which I haven't even put down there. But feel free to be here and converse. If someone's in the blue, they're a moderator. They'll tell you if you're getting off the Yellow Brick Road in time to either time out or giddy up, keep going. This is a place for robust conversation, but just not having a go at each other. Mitchell, I love your tyres. Okay, guys and gals. Well, let's talk about what we're going to talk about and what say you. Although the comments are here, where you really get to structure what you want to say is when this is over, when this says finish rendering, and you put the comments in comments below, but try to keep them below 100 words if you can. So we're light on the heavy on the punch, but light on the read. Now, this is designed as episode 2. There's a previous one before this, that I am creating a Christmas tree, so to speak, and that's not meant to have a religious overtone to it. I create a framework that you can then stick the comments on the branches where you want, right? What's important to you and what's not. I'll try not to dwell on any subject for too long, but this enables you to have those critical conversations about topics that you may find extremely difficult to find an arena other than Facebook to allow you to dig deep and start to have those conversations that you can't find at school, at work, at home. But here we tend to be critical thinkers. We tend to be fairly conservative thinkers about solving problems. So this is our Christmas tree. Let's populate it. Okay, some things I want to run by is at the moment. First, I'm not wearing a hat, but I would like to start off, if we can, with a minute's silence. We'll say it's 10-second silence to all of those across the globe as we go from an epidemic into a possible pandemic. Epidemic means localized, pandemic means global. For the Chinese, for the Italians, for the Iranians, and for all of those on the Japanese cruise ship that have lost their lives to the coronavirus. First started in November, failed to act, China, got out of the bag, so to speak. So for the next 10 seconds, let's dedicate a moment's silence for those victims, those suffering, and those that are going to suffer in the future. 10 seconds. Okay. Hector, thank you very much, mate, for I didn't realise you could do that. That's awesome. You, Hector, the hero of Troy, you were the first person to ever, I didn't even know you could do that, put an emoji in the comments, hey you back. Thank you very much, Hector. I dig it. Thanks. Guys and gals, you have to have some sort of say on this. And to give a bit of a curtail to this, because I have people that I speak about this in my daily adventures, whether that be Ange, whether that be reluctant to speak Dino and Shammy, etc., the school parents that I speak to, and those guys go, oh no, here he comes like crashing waves on a beach. Guys, there is a difference, and we don't know where this sits with the coronavirus. It is something that can affect our entire world, and I'm about to explain the iceberg that the coronavirus is. The conversation I'll have to have online as it gets attacked and takes down a lot of platforms that try to air what's happening, but it's got out of the bag. So I would consider this situation to be somewhere between Chicken Little, the sky is falling, the false alarm, or the catastrophizing, so that everyone runs out there and thinks, and bloody goes crazy, causing world panic. It's somewhere between that on the bell curve and over here to where Noah and Noah's Ark is saying, guys, can you not see this coming? And everyone's going, it's no big deal. Tell me when it's at my house. Right? It's so somewhere in between there, but you need to take it very, very seriously. Why? Because it's a situation that can affect a massive portion of our world, if not all of it. Okay. And everyone looks at it from the perspective that it's got a mortality rate 2-3%. No one knows. The figures that are coming out of face-driven cultures that lie, that don't want their economic value to be affected, so therefore they play down the figures, or they're in a more communist-based role and don't want the people to know how big problems are, then it's very easy for them to cook the book, so to speak. I was going somewhere with this. Okay, so we're looking at this from the point of view of the coronavirus itself. But what we're not looking at necessarily is the economic value, the economic drama, the implosion that can happen. We're seeing a country, China, 1.3 billion people with no one in the streets. 1.3 billion people, no one in the streets. All right, just to keep the machine going that is China, that is based on the communist regime, although it's got a capitalist sort of undervalues. What we're seeing for the first time is the complete lack of confidence in their own country. As it was saying on one of the videos, 900 million phone owners that don't have natural distribution and freedom of speech are now showing dissidence towards their government, that are telling them openly, and they can't put out the spot fires. Playing whack-a-mole, you'll never get them all. So the long-arching and overarching result of what's going to happen after this is, will China be able to get the control back? Is this going to be like whoever's watched Narcos? Is this going to be like the Cali cartel, the Sinaloa cartel? Is it going to be the Juarez cartel? Have all jumped away from the Federation. Go and watch Narcos too. It's fantastic, this second season. What happens if the seismic plates move? the regional plates move and people decide, like Hong Kong, like Taiwan and countries like that decide, okay, I don't really want this anymore. With elections coming up, and maybe we even want to say goodbye to communism. What would China do? Would they be capable of embracing something like pure capitalism and a democracy? I don't know. But that can be a real problem coming up. The Olympics. Here's some stats for you. The Olympics may be about to get cancelled. They reckon May is the cutoff for Japan to say the Olympics, the premier sporting event, people that have trained for that their entire lives, they only get one crack at this. If you get passed over age-wise because something has happened and it's only been cancelled 3 times before, and that was in 1916, 1940, and 1944 because of the 2 big wars, World War I and World War DOS, this could be the next one. Right? Did you know that the first Olympic Games happened in, this might be the thing you take away today, the first Olympic Games happened in 776 BC in Olympia, okay, and then it went all the way through to 393 BC, despite all the wars that occurred there. And then it was brought back again in 1896 by a Frenchman, and it started off again in Athens, Greece. So, Grid, how you going, mate? $2 here. Keep up the good work. Where's the connection here? When 3 platoon, I call it that because the 3rd of March is when they kick off. When these guys step out of here, it is important that they have a platoon that they can call. We've got people that are already going there. We've got Jake the Snake, and he's from New South Wales, Sydney, from Hornsby. We've got his buddy that is from Queensland, and they know each other. They've already hooked up like people that swipe right on each other. Sailor, yes, please. Not from me. Right. And then we've got Josh, who's going on the 17th, who's a prison guard. And he asked me, and we had a great conversation today talking about his lovely lady. How does this affect her? What can we do? Work light. I might have to switch to lights here so you don't get the horrible screen. And thank you very much for your donation there, Grid. Wait 2 seconds. Jay Hayes, all the way from WA. Sorry about the brightness there, team. Hector, no more. Thank you, sir. No more. Thank you for the coffee. Jay Hayes, hey, Lauren, I've never watched Seinfeld. You should go and watch all of the episodes tonight, Jay. You can't because there's hundreds of them. They're fantastic. And then you need to tell me which one's the best. It's old-fashioned comedy. You'll love it. Dave D, not much Leo. You. Okay, we're talking about ourselves. Policeman here, JC represent. Was that question for me, Fugly? Where is Senior Fugly? How hard is it for you to become an air traffic controller from being enlisted? I'd imagine it's a very technical job. I'm thinking doing intelligence or radar operator and working towards it. I don't think that will necessarily get you there. I'd say there are tickets within that. But the air traffic controller, that doesn't happen from a military context as far as won't happen in the Army. You know, there is no air traffic controller for the choppers and the controlled airspace, etc. That'll happen from an Air Force liaison if there's fast air, and they'll deconflict by altitude. They won't drop below a certain altitude that allows different airframes to work within that battle space. Simon, g'day, buddy. How you going? Hi, everyone. You're breaking up, Kaz. Am I? Shit. Going to listen to officer is pretty tough. Yeah, it is. JC, very true what you said there. Not only is it tough to go from enlisted to officers, not as much anymore, but there is also a bit of a, like if you can, team, get those thumbs up so YouTube knows we're on here. There's a little bit of a stigma that also goes towards those that haven't been through the system. And I'll tell you the same thing. If you go from if you go from enlisted to officer, there's a bit of a disconnect there, just like there is if you go from Army Reserve without going through Kapuka and Singleton, etc., and you come into the regular Army. There's always are you really one of us? You haven't been through the same ordeals of the training. You haven't had that, complete cut from civilian life. I'd like to be enlisted over commissioned. I can't see anything that I would want to be an officer, but that's because I don't think I'm a leader. I love supporting the ship, so to speak, but also the burden of command, is never ending. And I don't like the fact that I sort of need to make myself the carbon cutout of the officer above me before I'm taken seriously, always feeling like I'm on a game of Minesweeper, waiting to do something or say something wrong. We've got Matty Man. Wish I could stay going out to dinner with the missus. I'd do that too if I was you, mate. I took my daughter out tonight. Hope all is well. Swing low, sweet chariot, Mr. P coming home. Fletch, 4992, 17th of March for you as well. Fletch, you know that you're going in at the same time as 110 kilo Josh. He is, he'll look after you, mate. He's coming from Victoria and he's going to see you there and you're going to be in the same section, I'd imagine, or platoon. Leah the wanker, stuntman for life. Thank you, guys. Can we have a rule that no one... There's Josh right there. Josh Shaddock down there. Thanks for the chat today. Kaz, your legend. Let's go 2RR. 2nd Battalion, second to none. Thumbs up from me to 2RR. My family. MVids, JC, do ops let people in on asthma preventer? Do ops, do QPS let people in? Okay. So JC, we've got Mr. Vids down there asking JC for a bit of advice on the thin blue line there. He's the man to speak to. He's got a broken wing at the moment, so he's got nothing else to do. We've got Andrew with the smiley face down there with the butt licking emoji. Fletch, bloody oath. See you there, Josh. There you go. That's why we do this, team. That's why we do it, so you guys can network. What else was there? Team, when we look at what's happening with this coronavirus at the moment, I don't know whether it is a scandal or whether it is real, but we saw today the Iranian Deputy Minister of Health on a stadium with another individual, public speaking, going down with the coronavirus, and then was actually diagnosed with coronavirus, who reckons I'll be back in 3 days. Woo! I think that's propaganda. I think that's fake news because he doesn't want to spook people and he wants them to think it's okay. Go ahead, young man. But what they're proposing that they do in there, rather than go home, isolate, come back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, they're saying go and pray it out. Go to the mosque, pray it out together. That's the worst possible thing you could do. The worst thing. It's crazy. There's no common sense in that at all. Aaron Neves, mate, thank you very much, mate. That is a fantastic donation. You never need to go that big, but mate, people power, whoop, whoop, gets it going. But I like the colour there, and thank you very much indeed. This will all go towards the van, won't it? Can you guys believe? I know it kills Lauren. That there you go. Thank you, Lauren, for a nice one there too. There's not too cow for Mr. Neves. Lauren must be hating the fact that Kaz has got the paperwork downstairs, had it there for nearly a year now. All I need to do is fill it in and I get my superannuation. And I want to make a video about this to ask you, what would you do? And get this money and be able to go and get the van. I know which one I'm getting now. And from there, travel around the countryside. Be in different locations. Take backpackers on dirt roads, ask them about Wolf Creek while you get to watch. It's finishing year 12. Any tips for the assessment day? I've got a whole video on it, mate. Watch the video on the assessment day. It tells you everything. There is no silver bullet. It is the cut of your jib. There is the way you talk. There is any surprise that you may have with your carcass. If you have anything medically wrong with you that disqualifies you. But one thing I would say to you, to anyone, is like we say to you, have three choices on what you do when you go for the military, whether that be intelligence corps, whether that be infantry, and whether it be aviation. Have three choices of jobs too. Imagine if you put an application in for fire brigade, paramedics, Air Force, Army, Navy, police, and then maybe through a media degree to go over and be an overseas correspondent at parties. So go in prepared, expect, and you're going to come out all right. Here's some, when I was looking through this today, at the moment we're looking at the updated figures are 82,186 people with the coronavirus, and they believe that could be anywhere up to 25 to more, 25 times more than that. We've got 2,800 that have been registered, and we've got 32,911 that have apparently recovered completely from that. To put things in their conjunction, or context, 8 million people die a year from smoking, yet we never panic about that. We've got murder. 437,000 people die globally a year. Drowning, 320,000 people die from drowning. Love them so. Sharks, 6 people, but they are a primal fear of everyone. Lions kill 22 plus. And we've got dogs killing 35,000, but a man's best friend. Crocodiles kill 1,000, and marriage kills somewhere in the vicinity of 1 million plus. So, so if you put things in perspective, it's not the thing that is the most dangerous that we get scared of, but a pandemic of something that we know, we just feel like we're out of date for something serious to happen, where nature decides, I want to kill or cull the herd a little bit. I don't believe this came from the wet markets like the Chinese are saying. It just so happens that the province that this came from is also where their biological laboratories are, and I think maybe it jumped out of containment. Benny Lee says, hey, will flat feet be a deal breaker for advocates? Been reading stuff about it. It's a case by case, Benny. Some people, it seems like they get kiboshed from the military for it. Other people get in with orthotics or other things. I'm not part of the. I've heard it go both ways, right? And naturally, I only ever hear one side of the story too. So continue on, get yourself a great pair of shoes and from Foot Locker or one of those, and continue, because that's body armor for your feet, and then continue on until someone says you can't, and then sliding door opens, and then you go back to Jennifer Anderson and you're ready for round 2. Hector, do many diggers smoke? As a lot of them do. Yep, a lot of them. Some from boredom, some because they did before they joined, some because there's a lot of children that join the military and become adults through the recruiting process and think that's a way of fitting in. That's a way of opening conversation. I don't know. Why does someone smoke? I never have. I've never understood it at all. It is the opposite. It is the opposite kind of habit that should be allowed in the army. When you go for the Rangers, they have to give up smoking the day they turn up for training. Because I can tell you from a scout's point of view, that was my original job when I was in 1 Section 4 Platoon, 2nd 4th Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, the best in the world. When I'm a scout, because I hated smoking so much, no one's smoking in a moving call sign. So all I had to smell in the jungle or in the field environment was cigarette, and straight away, bam, hand up, wait, listen, where's that coming from? Because it has to be the enemy, and they don't know we're coming because they wouldn't be smoking if they knew we were coming. And from there, you can go into your reconnaissance and work out what angle you want to go and investigate, and then go and lay a bit of down on them. So, but I don't want to tell people the one thing that they have makes them stink too. What I don't understand is beautiful women smoking. I don't understand that, because that means the only people that are going to be interested in you are normally people that smoke themselves. Please tell me you are. Can we get rid of Puss in Boots, please? Thank you. At least have some intelligence about your insults, mate. That was shocking. And for being rude, I would have swiped left on you anyway, mate. Don't worry about that, team. Don't worry about that. Get him, Lauren, says Josh. Everyone's tough as hell when they've got a keyboard, haven't they? It's probably dark and shady too. It is, or she. I had a bit of a feeling that Puss in Boots is probably below the age of 18, I'd imagine. JC, 28 years old for ADFA, for ADF, but don't let it stop you. Yeah, don't let it stop you, because there's certain corps, like the average age for Special Forces is over 26. You know, there's a big difference between being old and getting into the army and being old and being in the army. You know, because there's a certain mindset, a malleability that we need you to have when you come in, that you're able to do things without necessarily questioning things, understanding that you will only ever have a portion of the information that the boss has, because less people in the planning process mean a more streamlined approach to a plan, less confusion. At the end of the day, we try to create tactical dilemmas for our enemy by overwhelming him with information, whether it be moving, whether it be our call signs, using disruption or deception, so that he fails to move or he decides to run and get out of there. A classic example of that was Long Tan, when the Vietnamese failed to commit against Delta Company 6RR because they thought there was a larger force. Therefore, when they chose to basically recon our position by force instead of sweep straight through, that it ended up being a catastrophic loss for them. What is your opinion on going in as a non-technical role for 6 years and applying to get into the commando area after your term? It won't happen, Brandon. It won't happen. I'll tell you why. It's a good question there. What is your opinion on going into a non-technical role for 6 years and applying to get into the commandos? Because to get into commandos, you have to go through the Royal Australian Regiment. You have to join up and be infantry. And you're not going to do that. After 6 years, if you never chose to be in a fighting corps from the start, it is very unlikely that you won't have a missus. You'll probably have kids. You're probably not going to suddenly go, you know what? I want to leave all the comforts of what I have right now to then go and be infantry. And if I fail, if I don't make it in commandos, now I'm in infantry. You know, I always recommend, if you've got aspirations to go for special forces, start in infantry, right? Or everyone, if you get a chance, start in infantry, cavalry, etc. And then from there, after 4 to 6 years, or 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, then from there go, what would I like to do as a civilian career? And then go, well, why would I want to go out and become a trainee when now all I can do is corps transfer, get away from the guns a little bit and go more towards the technical tickets, and then become a carpenter, a electrician, you name it, through engineers, or go to transport and get your heavy vehicle licenses, etc., all in the uniform, staying in the house you're in, going away doing an IET training as a mature individual, wearing the same uniform you're wearing as a grunt, and just stay in the system. Future-proof, forever. Josh and I spoke about that today. No need to leave. Will South, what kind of food would you recommend before a PFA? Yeah, none. Just drink a litre of water 40 minutes before, and you'll be laughing, mate. Henry Parks, hey, Kaz, what's your opinion on the ADF gap year? Look, I've got two minds of that. It would depend why you want to do it, Henry. I would say to people, and subscribe right now if you haven't subscribed to him. We always like new people, and when you do, make sure you put a thumbs up so people know you're new, and we'll be very nice to you in comments and listen to what you got to say. But back to what Henry's saying, I'm not a fan of people going to gap if they want to try before they buy. And I'll tell you why. I want people committed to my left and right, not someone who's sampling the goods. You got Army Reserve for that, where you can do 2 careers. If you want to come to gap year, and I think you get the raw end of the deal. You come in there, you do all of Kapuka, you do all of your IET training, you've done all the hard work, you're finally there where you can go to a unit, get all the benefits of DHA, free medical, all of these things, and now you go back out to the scrap heap and start looking for a new job again. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So I think you're getting screwed on that one. And then from there, you discharge and you're automatically in Army Reserve. I think it's like a national service scheme, really. We had Ready Reserve scheme back in 1992 or 93, where they did the same sort of thing. I just don't want to see you get caught, Henry, realizing, yep, this is what I want to do. And they say, no, there's no option to stay on for 4 years. because the army is full. And then you're going, oh, well, for God's sake, how do I get back in now? You know what I mean? The other side of it is I do like it in some ways. I think that the gap year would be fantastic for certain people to be able to go to become part of a militia, so to speak, for Australia, where you're not the regular army. You come in there to do a year, almost like you're like Israel when they go and do their national service, and they do that for a year, and then they come out. They've got a commitment through their army reserve, etc., and that's how they give them back to the country. So it all depends on what your motive is to what my response is. Choose your own adventure. Sam Price. There you go, mate. Where are we? Okay, so, Balls Lennis, what did you say? Okay. Right, what were we talking about? I looked up some interesting things today. Have you guys looked at the photos of what's happened with the coronavirus in China? Although they're not saying everywhere is what would you call it, quarantine, could you imagine the amount of money, the amount of food that it takes to keep these people, going day to day? When no one's in the street, where are they getting their food from? Did they have the stockpiles to have the food there? Have they got enough aardvarks to eat in the morning and the other weird foods they eat? What is happening to all of the economics? They're getting told it's time to go back to work soon, while hospitals have got doctors that haven't had a day off in a month, screaming at the moon. They want to be released from this continual stress they're going through. I don't know. I really feel for them because they're also not getting told the whole truth. What if you're just someone who's had enough? Because there's also apprehension teams that are going house to house and grabbing people and taking them as whole families from their houses. If you're a problematic person, how easy would it be for them to grab political prisoners and get rid of you and say you're just a coronavirus guy? We've got people all around the world now that are just falling over like zombies from the next 48 hours or 48 weeks later. And while the other people say we haven't got a real problem. And now we've got New York that has come out, despite the fact that they're not reporting cases. One of the things that came out today that they're very worried about is Thailand. I would have thought they were a bit smarter than this. Thailand did not stop or restrict any flights straight out of China from the, not Wahoo province. I think Wahoo. Yeah, anyway. In the full figures yet of what's going on. We've seen the people on that, the boat that stuck off Japan. Now over 700 people are infected on that boat. There's nothing fun about that boat. And it's had over 5 people pass away on there. I don't know what's going to happen after this politically for China. Popped up with our mining industry. Last year, I was at the Western Australian Victorian mining conference where if China stops buying our iron ore, and they'll, that's not going to happen, is it? And the female CEO speaker, she was a fantastic speaker, but now it's happening. If you'd have shown someone bloody in China 6 months ago, we'll say September, and you'd showed them a picture of Beijing or Shanghai with no one in the streets were empty, was when it was back in the time in the 1400s when the Mongols went and sacked there. I think since then it's been a bloody mercantile hub, the Spice Road. So I really don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what this is going to do to Italy. Now they're getting probably one of the second worst affected countries. We've got all of our Asian fringe to the north of Australia that now is starting to get deeply affected. We've got more than 22 cases in Australia now. What's this channel? Jackie Frost, this is In the Trenches with Kaz, mate. If this is your first time here, we're more than happy to have you here. We're an Australian channel, global channel, forever channel. We look after our subscribers. We've got a fantastic basis our second time around. We actually lost our last channel to a scam when we had over 530 videos. Now we're back down to, I think, about 30. But with the help of Jack Frost, then we could be back. So Thumbs up or thumbs down, Jackie. And if you've got a question you'd like us to answer, we shall. Otherwise, enjoy your night. Kurt Jenkins, been a pain to get it all in. Tried 3 times, they finally accepted. Infantry, here we come. Kurt, what date have you listed to go, mate? ML, hey, Kaz, I can barely see out of my left eye. Is it possible I can get into a non-combat role? No. My dominant hand is, unfortunately, my right side, so I'd be closing my left eye when firing. Mate, no chance at all. I'm sorry for that. I don't know what the situation is behind that, behind what's happened with your eye, mate. But honestly, we need to be in tip-top shape. We take into account when you join the military that you're going to be a slow decline, just like you would as any professional sportsman, just like you would as a policeman, fireman, paramedic, etc. So we need to be in tip-top condition. And sadly, we lose some of the best because of little medical technicalities. And sometimes because people are overprescribed with diagnosis of things like depression, etc. when they're younger. Childhood asthma, another big hitter too. FQZ, what's your thoughts on the IPRP Indigenous pre-recruit program? Totally fucking against it. Totally against it. I don't believe in any special program for anyone. No one. There is one way to get in, not for the females' way of getting in and only sign on for 2 years. No. Not for their 7-week preparation. No. We are all meant to be one army, which we're absolutely not in the Australian Army. We're not. There are so many different roles. There are so many different types of community within the Australian Army. We're not just one army. But we represent each other. We're one big family, of course. But everyone has to know that when you go through Kapuka, that everyone has the bare minimum standard and that everyone is at no special favors for no one, anyone. Because, and I'll explain this to you. Let's just say for some identity politics reason, candidate A, who's gone through the proper way, passed all the tests and gets there, and then a situation arises and he's got candidate B beside him who has been nurtured and given special entry into the military and then gets in but was short in several areas. And then when the situation occurs, the kinetic event happens or something needs to be done, candidate A is not being fully represented by candidate B because candidate B was never at their level, male or female, was never at that level, and that's not found out until the rubber meets the road. And then as a result, both end up dead or candidate A ends up dead because candidate B has fallen short. You see this in, for an example, in 300 Spartans. When the guy, the hunchback, can't lift his shield, Leonidas says to him, no, sorry, mate, love your conviction, but you can't come in. We have to have a diagnostic where we find out this is the minimum standard where all of our planning falls. At least that is as low as we can go. We can't go lower than that because of identity politics. We've already gone too far. Let's stand out. Whitehall and Commodores. I'm not sure what that was about. I could never be a fireman. I start too many fires when I drop my mixtapes. Henry Parks. What's your advice to school leavers who want to join but everyone wants them to go to uni? Henry Parks, that's a good question, and we hear that a lot, mate. And what I would say to you is you have your own journey. If you look back on some of the other videos that I've put out, you're going to have people that will never pay your rent, okay, that will never buy you clothes, who will never put tucker in your mouth, who are never going to put a calamari ring, burger ring, onion ring on your finger, right, and say, I do. They're going to tell you what to do. You go, guess what, mate? I'm in this for my own race. I've got to be a man. I've got to be a woman and stand up, and I've got to do things on my own 2 feet. I've got to be able to fly outside the nest by myself. You want me to go to university? Well, guess what? You'd better bloody pass university because I'm getting paid from day one. At the end of 4 years, you may not get a job, but you will have a HEX bill on top of that. You'd better pass that because who's paying for it? Don't worry about it. University, Donald Trump says to people straight up, There are so many people with university degrees that are either homeless or working in coffee shops. It'd make your head bloody spin. The military is a future-proof career. We spoke today about Josh, where he was saying that people that had done 4 years are telling him, or not exactly 4 years, he didn't know exactly how long they'd been in, we're telling him from the prison system, but the military is not a career. You go, what are you talking about? You can stay in the military as long as what you are medically able to. And they will let you downsize from infantry down to other corps as you're injured, as long as it's not due to severe depression, PTSD, or something that precludes you from being able to deploy at field or overseas, etc. And there's still roles for that too. You can stay in the military indefinitely. There's jobs, careers within the army that are absolutely no danger whatsoever, except maybe an ingrown toenail, right, from wearing your boots in the office for too long. Sorry, I can't keep up here with the comments. Is driver and driver specialist? Yeah, same role, mate. Billy, Lauren, haven't seen Grumpy Digger lately. Yeah, not sure what he's going on. I don't know whether he wants a special invitation or what. Grumpy posted on his Instagram last week, I think. I hope he's okay. I hope his dog's okay too. Little trooper. I'd be really interested in seeing what you guys are thinking about this coronavirus, not trying to jump back and forth. I can see where there's a military context to this, where they're, at the moment, the soldiers are the ones that are in the streets in China. The soldiers will be the ones wearing protective equipment. The soldiers potentially have the power to be enacted in states of emergency to become a paramilitary force and assist with the police force. If New York was talking about their ability to have 1,200 beds ready for a catastrophic situation or outbreak of coronavirus in New York, how many would we have? Not that many. It would break the facility so quickly. What would happen in China at the moment, where hospitals absolutely run off the ground if you then had a car accident or someone had a drug overdose? How long is it before hunger steps in? How long is it before crime starts to take over and take advantage of the situation? There's no one in the streets. How long does the military start to get fringe components where they start to go, yeah, I could kind of capitalize on this? We're the only ones out here. Yeah. A whole lot of things can manifest that are below the pimple of the iceberg, which is the coronavirus. Economic, cultural, dissidence, exports, imports, starvation, secondary things are always worse. It seems like we're overdue that something serious that has happened to this world, and it just feels like either this or something that's going to happen that. That would be just out of control at the moment. If the Olympics, how many people have got money so invested in the success of the Olympics that if that gets called off in May, that could break a lot of people too. Here's an interesting data for you. Okay. Team, richest city in the world. 10 seconds from now. What is it? Richest city in the world. That won't give you a chance to look up Google. Richest city in the world. Who is it? Who is it? Who's going to get it? Brisbane? That's gold. No, it's not Brisbane. Africa? No. Shanghai? No. Dubai? Nowhere near it. Vatican? No. Beijing? No. Christchurch, New Zealand. It's rich in the ladies. No, it's New York. New York has a net worth of $3 trillion. It's got 65 billionaires, but the thing that really spun me out, they have 380,000 millionaires. So I think that's because you basically have to be a millionaire to be there. Yep. That's crazy. But everything's other than the price of coffee also goes through the roof as well. That's a lot. 380,000 millionaires. Well, that's a good place for the ladies to go. Armadale, maybe not. Stockton, Newcastle. Best beach. Dubai, no. It came way behind, Willie, actually. Dubai has actually got a massive amount of poverty. Lauren is shining. Pandemics, no matter if man-made or neutral, can be used to great political advantage. Yes, they can. And Kurt, is it New York? Yes. The pandemic can be, because what it does is it makes the world potentially stop. At the moment, people are going, how serious is this? No one knows. The books are cooked. Is it real? Don't know. But like we're saying, when was the last time places with 22 million people in the towns, people like Cairo, places like Beijing, places like Shanghai, where there's no one in the street at all? Where do all the cars go? Is it like flies at night? ML ACAS should try to at least apply to attempt an appeal. It seems unreasonable if I have used small arms as a civvy and want nothing but to serve. Look, mate, when you do, it's important everyone understands if you do an appeal, it doesn't matter personal references. It doesn't matter what the emotion is behind it. The only thing they will listen to is new medical evidence. That's it. Doctors' reports, psychologists' reports, etc. And good luck finding one of them that is going to sign off, okay, and potentially be held accountable by military for handing someone in that could end up then costing ComSuper millions of dollars over the next 60 years if they're injured as a result. Did you read Tom Clancy? I can read, Simon, but I don't read. It's like a tranquilizer in the arse of an animal. I go down quickly. Dave D, unfortunately, you'll be lacking peripheral vision, mate. Vision is one of the most important things. All right? People get kicked out of the army for their eyesight as well. King Carnage, down here is shitty Melbourne. People are staying away from Chinatown and avoiding their restaurants. Down here in shitty Melbourne, people, yeah. Look, I don't blame them at all because Chinese people cannot be trusted. They can't be. They're a face-driven community where they don't show their weaknesses, they only display their strengths. It's like a lot of the cultures over in the Middle East also are allowed to lie to you. So I'll give you an example. I was in Canberra the other day and got served by a lass, pretty lady. I've got photos on Instagram with it, actually. And once she put in the money of how much it was going to cost me to eat the chicken gizzards, I didn't eat chicken gizzards. Okay, she had the mouth piece on and had the phone, put it there, and then stood back from the counter like I was the infected one. I was going, hey, dude, I trusted you to make me food, and now you're treating me like I am the one that is bringing something to Big Trouble Little China. If they're going to act that way, there's no assimilation there. They just want your money. No FPOS, sir. I care for them. I do. But if you're going to scamper into places and bring it with you and you don't care what you bring or where you take it, then you're going to be, and especially if there's massive language barriers as well, we're seeing now the importance behind the Conservative and the Republican Party in America. And we haven't seen them using this yet. They were the first ones to say no go for Chinese into US. And then Russia, I believe, was second behind them. Did you know that? But this can be really used for the sovereign borders of a country, why you have borders in the first place. If you've got people that don't speak a language that cannot take direction from your emergency services, and they're also sneaking in not meant to be there, so they're not likely to come forward and say, hey, look, I've got a cold that won't go away. I think it could be coronavirus, and I don't mean a hangover from coronas, then, yeah, you've got to treat people with skepticism. There is no left when we have a natural disaster, when the wolf is at the gate. I can go, what's my gripe? That we start to go back into identity politics. Everyone is the same in a natural disaster. Tyrone, they're a strange breed. They've been made that way, but you're a product of the way you've been brought up. And Vince JC, childhood dream brother, but asthma got worse, so I moved to the health industry. Yeah, asthma is probably one of the biggest things that that affects people getting into military. But there is childhood asthma and there is adult asthma. Adult asthma, no pass go, right? Hector, hey Kaz, were you able to send that book? Send me that address straight through to my phone now, Hector. And tomorrow that will be my thing because I've got to send one to Grumpy too. I've got them here, right here beside me. Yeah. Kane, Kaz, I am going into the army because I had a grandfather's in the Navy and Army. It's good to have a proud tradition, to have to stand up for something. Guys and gals, for the that don't know, we had did I tell you about what happened with the fantastic get-together, being around my brother Benny and all the Rwanda veterans last weekend? It was pretty crazy to see nearly 1,000 people there in Canberra, either as family members or supporting members or Rwandans that were there. It was an amazing privilege, and it actually gave me a little bit of closure. It was nice to see Rwandans actually saying, like, don't be too hard on yourselves. A lot of us are alive because Australia was there, Canada was there, Zambians were there, India was there, and the other countries. So that was a nice thing. For guys and gals that don't know, my daughter is actually named after a little girl that I had a real soft spot for while I was in Rwanda in 1995. After you've been overseas, you cannot go backwards. There is no small talk anymore. Your humor is a little bit darker. You become a different, darker version of yourself. You do. And that's a natural trait. I think the same happens to police officers. It happens to firemen, dark humor. It happens to paramedics. It happens to prison guards. It happens to, you name it, the people of emergency services, the people even, of our volunteer fire brigade and SES. Dark humor gets you through the hard times. It does, but it's unpalatable to those that have not been down that lane. Be prepared that when you go down there, that lane, that one-way valve, that when you come back, your family may identify that you're a little bit different. Your friends at school, you might come back on your first holiday period to hang out with your buddies, but it's not the same. And then you want to go and hang out with your mates that you've made, like Hector or Mr. Vids or Aaron Neves. They're the people you want to hang out with now. So you give your family 2 or 3 weeks. You've got nearly 8 weeks over Christmas leave. And then you're going to spend another 3 weeks, but don't go to Thailand because at the moment I think they're about to have a coronavirus drama. Pucker, it sucks in about 100 different ways, Zerg. It would be like being Islamic and being married to 4 different women that nag you to death. It'd be hard on a family trip, a station wagon with no air conditioning, traveling to Darwin, all right, drinking black and gold cola. That's what the diggers at Gallipoli were known for, their sense of humour. Yeah, we find our sense of humour, but it's just unpalatable, and we sort of have conversations with people where we don't hold back, and I'm not sure whether we're testing them, whether we're trying to cause arguments, but I don't know. We sort of become a little bit of assholes in conversations, not trying to win it, but just trying to get our opinion in. And it's fairly foreign from the mainstream way of thinking, and we're definitely not politically correct. Mr. Duncan, there's plenty of ways to serve the public without holding a weapon. If that's what you're passionate about, there is. And that's why we say have multiple prospects that you can go into. Like for me, no disrespect, JC, because I'd love to be a copper too, but paramedics, that is the one that stops me. I look at paramedics all the time. I'm like a weirdo stalker. If I see them in McDonald's, I'm almost over there trying to force them to accept something from me for free. I want to buy you coffee. Our coffee was already free, but I want to pay for it. Your hands are like the hands of angels. Someone's been a paramedic for 10 years. Jesus, imagine how many people they have walked into that room and said, everyone stand back, remove the danger, Dr. A, B, C, and then attempt to put Humpty back together again without their lip quivering, without showing that, holy shit, I didn't expect that. How often are they in a an ambulance and people have got their music up in their car, they've got over the radio that there is a child choking, and there's someone doing that aga do shake pineapple from the tree in front of them, not getting out of the way, and they're thinking every second this child is going blue. Get out of my way. Just it is amazing. Then they get to go home and they put the Rubik's Cube back together again and ready for the green screen the next day. To me, they are absolutely amazing. Amazing. JC, what a family. He is RAF. He is police force, wants to go army. Father was a paramedic, but I always wanted to be a cop. I'd love to be a cop just to be around the ladies every day. Watch out, Susan. Don't move too quick, or I'll take that phone number and I'll goddamn use it. Billy, is that blood spelt wrong, Bill? Bailey, my grandfather went from New Zealand Army combat medic to a paramedic when he returned from Borneo. There you go. And he would have been slick at it too. Borneo. Now, that's a place that sucked. Malaysia and Borneo was like hunting the ghosts. People did whole tours without getting into contact while patrolling in the jungle the entire time for year-long stints. Tully, 2 weeks can change your life. Can make you hate a friend. Fugly, don't do that around the new van, Kaz. I won't, mate. You never know, Fugly. You might be in that van one day. Want a lolly? It's good luck to kiss a policeman. Yeah, but because of that Me Too movement there, Lauren, they've destroyed it. I remember for cops, I don't think it's happened for a long time, New Year's Eve, girls used to basically hit them like a Tarzan swing, just land on the nearest cop. People with red hair even got a kiss. With JC there, the blowing the kisses out. Zerg, how good is it that Rwanda guys are getting their long overdue meritorious unit citation? Do you want me to show you, Zerg? Wait 2 seconds, team. Say something to the crowd there, Lauren, or JC, or Dave D. Oops. So these go along with your military medals. And this is the meritorious citation. So that's what it looks like, team. When I first heard about this, I really didn't want it. And I'll explain why. That's for with your miniatures, the small one. And the large one is for going with your, okay, they're downstairs. That's the mini-me's. Yep. Ribbons. Medals downstairs. So if you have a citation, you see people with this, and there's nothing inside there, then that means that you have the citation that was won or awarded to a unit. Okay, however, when you have the star in the center, that means that you were the recipient that was there when the meritorious award was actually won. You were part of the ingredient that actually was on the ground at the time. So that's that for you. Now, we didn't really agree with it, a lot of us, because I still don't know whether we did a good job or not. We went there, we suffered, but we didn't necessarily stop anything. People saw the Great White Hope turn up, wearing the blue helmet, but then they saw us sling our weapons and watch on, and we become collateral damage. We become the injured, the wounded warriors as well. Now, if you look at that blue board behind me, that's my first ever piece of art, yep, other than my snot collection, and I won't tell you where that is. That's my poetry wall, the pain wall. And that's all the poems I've written overseas. Now, I'm going to put those poems up soon. Lauren's heard them all before, and Dave D has too. And what they allow me to do is to be able to paint a picture without saying, oh, I did this or I did that. But it means that Rwandan veterans can then, at either at PTSD courses or for doctors or for their families, for their children, for their wife, for their grandkids, can then say, rather than me try to tell you about it, here is a poem that is written by someone that was there with me and I was with them. So what he says applies to them as well. So what I've created is a narration of a timeline to allow people to be able to communicate and translate their pain. So does that make sense? So I'll put those back into production form and I'll get them out to you. Yeah. We studied Unimere in year 11. So sad. Hector, it is, mate. And it is very sad. 1 million people in an area smaller than Tasmania killed by people that weren't even soldiers. Family on family. Kids killing adults that were tied up. It's terrible. But you know what? You could also say to people, are people predominantly good or are they predominantly bad? If they're naturally good, then why do we need laws? Why do we need the fear of God to remind us not to do the wrong thing? Why do we need such a police force and a military on top of that? In the absence of witnesses' eyes, what do people get up to? And we also get worse as that supervision is a way longer. Thanks, Sharon Kaz. A lot of people have their 2 cents on Operation Tamar, but it's the best to hear it from someone who was there. Well, it is. It wasn't a good trip. We weren't a well-knit team. Anyone that was part of the Unimere team that goes, everyone got along there, you feel like going, were you there? There was not cohesion in Unimere 1 or Unimere 2. It was a mixed pot. I don't think there's ever been a trip that had such a pizza supreme of individuals. There was Air Force, Army, Navy. There was reserves. There was regular. There was officers. There was ORs. There was civilians. There was general service officers or special commissioned officers for short periods of time, SSOs. It was absolutely chaotic. I'm surprised there was no murders. It came close a few times. There was violence from Australians on Australians. Fletch, thanks much. Muchas gracias. There we go. How good does it look with that the blue hearts? I don't know where they came from, but they look good. Yep, and Fletch, thank you very much. Nutsukal. Simon, nice one, Fletch. See, we've got a great crowd here. Kaz, do you prefer the Steyr over the M16 or an M4? No, the M4 is my favourite weapon. Having fired both a fair bit. The Steyr, although it's in Fortnite, it's in Modern Warfare. It's in most modern computer games now. It's in Die Hard. I can shoot it pretty bloody well, But I've always preferred the balance. I've preferred the modularity of the M4 as a weapon system every time. And it looks better in photos too. Have a good one, Fletch. Well, we're going to get out of here, team. Nutsukal, Leo Winker. There we go. My daughter said to me today, she goes, Dad, because I had a bit of I haven't told us what happened. I hope you're counting, Jay. Josh, soon to be getting out. JC had enough of keys and locks. There you go. Today, I had, for those people just watching now, I had a headache. I get ocular migraines, which is a headache that happens behind one of your eyes. And you can be there all night actually grabbing your eye, feel like you want to pull it out of your head because of the agony of it. And I had no pain relief. So this morning, after not sleeping at all, I still haven't slept yet. I got in the car and went down to get some pain relief, some Panadol. I got some Nurofen instead. And I got it in my car, was driving back to here knowing that I had to pick up my daughter an hour later. So I was just going to try and hydrate and hope I don't vomit. And I stopped at a stop sign, smacked right up the arse like a sailor on his first night in the shower. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Got around the corner, leapt out of the car, ready to roll. Guy gets out of his car and he's got bloody sleeve tattoos. So I'm thinking, awesome, this is all going to be legit. I go over there, he's hiding behind his car door because he's just seen I've run into a car at a stop sign. It's got return veteran on the back of the car. And then the door has come open like a barn door for a gangbang. I've come bolting out and straight away going, you fuckhead. And he's, not this early in the morning. He probably had sleep in his eyes and a bloody coffee on his lap. I've gone over to him and I've said, sorry, I'm pretty pissed off at the moment. I've gone, mate, are you injured? And he's going, no, I'm not injured. I've looked at my car. There's not much of a dent. There's some paint off and all that sort of shit. His car was crap anyway. Western Sydney, jalopy. So I said, mate, I've got no time for this shit. See you later. If as long as you're okay. He's like, okay. And I was in the car as quick as what I get out of it. Did him out. He must have thought I was wanted by JC and the law. But there's no point. There's no point in getting too worked up. And I was pretty happy that I maintained my courage, but then also backed down pretty quickly so I didn't ruin this guy's day. But what had upset me about it was my daughter said to me, Dad, why would he be scared of that? And I went, oh, that's a good point. She goes, you don't look like you used to anymore. I'm like, oh, shit. So it might be time to get back into the gym, start work on the iron. And if I don't get the discipline, I might have to break the law, get arrested, go to the gym and have a free membership that forces me to go and get active. What do you reckon, JC? Guys and gals, thank you for, that's all right, Brady. I probably deserve it, mate. A bit of karma. It wasn't good for the migraine, but I tell you now. But I'm okay now. It's funny. Migraines, although you get like a hangover from migraine, they come as go. They go as quick as they come. It's really weird. Your hair starts hurting, and then all of a sudden you can taste it coming, and then you're man down. Andrew reckons sloppier than a kiss from a midshipman. Ugh. You've got cabin boy breath, son. JC, the mouth of babes. Hector, thanks, Kaz. Do you reckon we should have a phone call soon? Absolutely. Absolutely, Hector. Of course we can. No dramas at all. Guys, let's get out of here. Oh, sorry, Bailey. So did we get an answer on the patch wall? Had to step out for a minute. On the patch? Oh, okay, Bailey. Yeah, there you go, mate. There you go. That is a meritorious citation. So that'll be worn above the ICB, Infantry Combat Badge, above the medals. So I'll wear my medals on the left. Oops, there they go. They don't define you. They feel good the first time you get one, and after that, they just become something that you can give to your child, an actual, what do you call them? Lauren, help me. What do you call them? What do you call it? An heirloom. There's something tangible that lasts beyond your lifetime that hopefully your child will respect and then wear on their right to represent their father, or grandfather, etc. It's a beautiful thing. All right, team, we're going to get out of here after we quickly look at Keegan. Hey, Kaz, what do you think my chances are of reapplying for infantry reserves after being turned back due to back issues requiring painkillers? No. Mate, if your back is that bad, you need painkillers. You don't want to be in infantry putting on packs that can weigh more than half your body. It's too late to say I've got a bad back once you're on an activity. We ain't stopping for people. You'll be injured your entire career. But we can't let someone start off already injured. That wouldn't be fair for you. That'd make us the assholes. Yeah. You've got 100 years to live with that back, mate. Take it easy, brother. Go and do something where you can be in a car, air-conditioned coffee, and still having a good time with the dry humour. I'm trying to look after you here, mate, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that ain't working out for you. Much respect to Kaz and Spanners. That's right. Dave D, we're going to get out of here. Boydie. Brady Carr's blowing kisses at someone. Take it easy, guys. Let's get out of here. I'm going to go and have me Panadol and stuff and go down and listen to a bit more of Chris Watts' interrogations. And honestly, for all of those globally and what I believe is going to be a pandemic with the coronavirus situation, I really hope the governments do the righty by you. I really do. And I really hope that we can act as a global community rather than isolate ourselves. But we do need to close off those borders. It's no time to be liberal thinking. It's time to be thinking of the nest. All right. Okay, team, take it easy. Thank you very much for tonight. If you can, press that like button before you go. If you're a new subscriber, put the thumbs up there so we all know that you're new and we can treat you with kid gloves and your questions will come first. To all of those that are the blue spanners, the moderators, thank you very much for being here. Nutsu Cow. And thank you so much to those that financially put in today that gives wheels to us and allows us to go and do other things. So take it easy. There's a demon under your bed. Hey, man. Oh, no, he's just got on. Matty, thank you for joining us on Patreon. You're a stud. See you, buddy. We are the world. We are the people.